Welcome aboard! Join me as we dive into the legendary battleships of the World Wars, exploring their history, firepower, and the battles that shaped naval warfare. So let's set sail into the past. The HMS Hood, pride, power, and the price of glory. She was born in the firelight of a fading empire, a queen among warships, forged from steel and purpose. She was HMS Hood, the embodiment of Britain's naval might, the symbol of an empire's pride. For more than 2 decades, she ruled the seas, the most famous warship afloat, but in the cold waters of the North Atlantic, she would meet her fate, not from time, but from another titan, a new predator with iron claws and a heart of thunder. This is a story of pride and tragedy, of 2 captains, 2 warships, and the battle that shook the world. HMS Hood was laid down in 1916. As World War I raged across Europe, the Royal Navy had ruled the oceans for centuries. And Hood was meant to be its crown jewel, a battlecruiser built to outgun and outrun anything on the water. She was launched in 1918, just as the war was ending, but her message was clear: the British Empire would not fade quietly. She was massive, over 860 feet long, weighing more than 42,000 tons. Her 15-inch guns could fire shells the size of a small car across miles of open ocean. Yet she was more than a war machine. She was beautiful, with long, graceful lines and towering masts. She had a regal bearing, and sailors looked up to her, not just in size, but in spirit. By the 1920s, Hood was the pride of the Royal Navy. She became the fleet's flagship, and in 1923 and 1924 she sailed around the world. The Empire Cruise, to Australia, to South Africa, to Canada. Crowds packed the ports, bands played, newspapers cheered her arrival. The Hood wasn't just a ship, she was Britain, wrapped in steel. The world knew her name. They called her the Mighty Hood. In January 1941, as the world plunged deeper into a second global war, Captain Ralph Kerr assumed command of HMS Hood. Ralph Kerr was not a flamboyant commander. He was a professional, a man who had risen through the ranks with quiet competence. Born in 1891, he joined the Royal Navy as a young teen. Over the years, he served on destroyers, cruisers, and in key staff roles. He was calm, disciplined, dignified. A naval officer of the old school, but Kerr also knew the truth. He had studied naval warfare. He understood that the Hood, magnificent as she was, had weaknesses. Her deck armor was thin, too thin, built in an era before the dangers of aerial attack and long-range plunging fire were fully understood. The Hood was overdue for modernization. Plans existed to reinforce her armor and improve her systems. But war came, resources were stretched, and the Hood was needed now. Kerr accepted his orders. He knew the risks, but he also knew the responsibility of commanding the most famous ship in the Royal Navy. In Nazi Germany, another titan stirred. The Bismarck was laid down in 1936 as Hitler rearmed his nation. She was a masterpiece of engineering, over 50,000 tons, heavily armored, and armed with 8 15-inch guns. To command her, Germany chose Captain Sir C. Ernst Lindemann. Lindemann was not a loud man. He was a naval professional, like Kerr, but where Kerr represented an aging empire, Lindemann was the image of the new German Kriegsmarine, modern, disciplined, and deadly. Born in 1894, he had served in the First World War. He rose through the ranks slowly, respected for his meticulous nature and calm authority. He loved his ship. To him, Bismarck was more than a command. She was a vision of national resurgence. And yet, he was no fanatic. Lindemann clashed with Nazi party officials aboard his ship. He insisted that Bismarck be a ship of sailors, not political showboaters. He once told a fellow officer, "I intend to command my ship like a man of the sea, not a politician." He knew his enemy would one day be the Royal Navy, and deep down, he knew the name Hood. In May 1941, Germany launched Operation Rheinübung. Bismarck and the heavy cruiser Prinz Eugen would break into the Atlantic to raid Allied shipping, a strategy aimed at cutting off Britain's supply lines. When British intelligence detected the move, alarm bells rang across the Admiralty. Hood was ordered to sea. Alongside her was the brand new battleship HMS Prince of Wales. Powerful, but still undergoing trials, her crew was green. Her systems were untested, but time was short. The Admiralty, the calculation seemed sound. Hood alone could face Bismarck. She was faster, more experienced, more feared, but in quiet corners, a few naval minds whispered, "The Hood is old." Her armor is thin. And the Bismarck? She's something else. Still, no one openly questioned the order. Hood had never failed. She had never been defeated. To many in Britain, it was simply unthinkable. On the morning of May 24, 1941, the British ships sighted their targets in the Denmark Strait. Mist lay thick on the water. The sky was cold steel. As the giants approached, the distance closed rapidly. 17 nautical miles. 12. At 5:52, HMS Hood opened fire. The sound rolled like thunder across the waves. Her forward turrets lit the horizon. Prince of Wales joined in moments later, targeting Bismarck. But the British made a critical mistake. They initially targeted Prinz Eugen. Thinking she was Bismarck, the Germans responded with chilling efficiency. Prinz Eugen scored early hits on Hood, setting fires on her boat deck, but the British pressed forward, closing the range. Hoping to get under Bismarck's plunging fire, knowing their deck armor could not withstand a high-trajectory shell, then, at exactly 6 o'clock, Bismarck found her mark. A shell plunged through Hood's thin deck armor and detonated in her aft magazine. In a flash of white-hot fire, a column of flame shot hundreds of feet into the air. The ship buckled. Explosions tore her in two. She sank in less than 3 minutes. 1,418 sailors, including Captain Kerr, were lost. Only 3 survived. When news of Hood's destruction reached London, it was met with disbelief. The Hood, the mighty Hood, destroyed by a single salvo. The shock was immediate and national. The loss wasn't just strategic, it was spiritual. Hood had been the face of British naval power. Her destruction left the Royal Navy wounded. The British public, already weary from blitzes and loss, now carried a fresh scar. Churchill himself issued the order, sink the Bismarck. The Royal Navy surged into action. Ships across the Atlantic converged, swordfish bombers launched, submarines hunted. The chase was on. But that's a story for our next video. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. You can also subscribe and explore our channel for previous battleship videos. Bye for now and Godspeed.